Hello everybody and welcome back to another blind commentary of Steven Universe, starting with the Season 4, Episodes 1 and 2, or, canonically speaking, Episodes 104 and 105. As per usual outro. Yeah, it's gonna be pretty fun. I don't know. The whole kindergarten, I'm just kind of ecstatic about that. The whole aspect of, technically speaking, artificial life is rather interesting to me, so I'm just excited to see where this is gonna start and how this is actually how this season is gonna pan out. I mean, I know it's still underway, which is regrettable, but I'm really quite happy that the season just continued immediately after. As I said in the ending of the previous episode, I looked into this, and this season started immediately after the previous finale, which is pretty good, because that means that it was just an interlude, as I said. And that's good. So let's just get on with the show proper. That's actually a pretty good moment of... Yeah, I know. Why do I have this way of just immediately after 15 seconds of the episode just start talking? Anyway, that's a pretty good point, that they are also just keeping corrupted... Not just, but you get the point. They are also keeping corrupted gems technically as prisoners. That's an interesting point to bring up. Good moment of self-awareness, I must say.
As long as they're bubble, they can't hurt.
Are you seriously going to help her? It's just...
she's
she's all alone out here.
And it would be... you should keep an eye on her. It's a bit more safe that way. You shouldn't let her pop at the very least.
With no idea what she's doing. This is perfect. I've just concocted a flawless parry.
It's very possible that it's actually used... I do presume that used to be an actual quartz. I do feel like it might be actually possible that they dug too deep, and instead of getting proper quartzes created, they actually started creating these corrupted ones. And that would be a rather interesting little plot twist there. Creating uncontrollable monsters would be a pretty... not unexpected. And I do like that we are being reminded of the sentience of these corrupted gems, because, it's a rather important point.
Plan. So what's the PP? Look.
That's not exactly an advantage to be able to take that much punishment. That must be rather painful already. I mean, fortunately she isn't cracking or anything like that, but damn, that's gotta hurt quite a bit. Although we are not exactly sure how much pain they do feel. Oh boy, I just don't really like just this kind of slapstick. It's not really all that fun to me. That's a personal preference thing, but still.
Yes. This is going. They just think a little different. That's all.
That's...
Okay. Just to make sure my Earth vocabulary.
Is that a thinly veiled metaphor for developmental problems that... Am I looking too deeply at this? I probably am, but I'm not gonna think about that.
Is correct on this. Let's say I'm a monster.
Now okay, that's pretty good reference, but I do wonder exactly, could Steven actually just jump the bottom and just float there safely? That would be a really easy way to get down there. Are they both now popped? Well, not both.
I did it.
Future vision.
You were all watching this.
Okay, now, I do feel like she didn't actually need to say that out loud, but rather just give a knowing wink. That would have been a bit more funny. Just a minor point there.
This corrupted gem was truly an adversary worthy.
That actually doesn't look all that corrupted. And that is actually a pretty good surprise. But yeah, that gem doesn't look all that corrupted, I must say.
Nice bubble.
That's a lovely little surprise there. Honestly, it did seem like a rather meaningless episode, but it's a pretty cool to see that Peridot can now do bubbles. That's fucking bubbles. That's a thing.
Sorry.
I now really do want to see. Actually, could they fuse again? Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Looks like I got a bit carried away. I can.
I'm fine with this. I'm not laughing, but I'm actually kind of impressed how far they are taking this.
Like long walks through the kindergarten.
Right back after one from our sponsor.
With the fact that they, I suppose, would be preferable. Could it be because, like, that's a fusion of Steven and Amethyst? The fact that it's partially human, that's kind of the reason why it isn't fully developed and has 3 arms instead of 4 or 2. Like, I do feel like the fact that Steven is mostly partially somewhat human is kind of a crucial part to this. It's odd.
Listen, Smokey. Let's talk. Fusion to.
Nice try.
Oh,
What?
actually, why is the Vonnie there? That's a bit of an odd one to pull there, but that does make sense considering that it has appeared to be actually weaker than freaking Garnet there. That's interesting.
One more try.
Okay. Not exactly a hook shot, but who doesn't love a good hook shot? That's pretty close to it. That's pretty cool. Okay. Now I do have quite a few things to say about this. Alrighty, that's an interesting pair of episodes to start the season off with, but not bad, like definitely not bad or anything. I do quite like, but I mostly like the implications of the second episode. But let's go over the first one real quick. That was mostly just dealing with Peridot, and that's fine. They can always use a bit more character development, so that's completely fine. It's better to get more character development for everyone. It was just a rather simplistic, honestly, almost pointless episode. Not completely, though. It did have a point to it, and a rather important and crucial one at that, which is that the fact that she can now bubble. That's something. And it does mean that they do at the very least consider that barn their home, which is really an important little detail there. Though we'll see how much that comes into play. Though I do have an inkling suspicion that the bubbling will come into play. Because, well, now that would make sense. Otherwise it's just a huge fucking Chekhov's gun, and that's really quite annoying, but that's unlikely. But yeah. The first episode just honestly wasn't, in my opinion, that good, but mostly because it's pretty much just slapstick and making fun of Peridot. And I don't really like that kind of, just mocking singular characters all that much. It's fine enough. It's fine. Now, the second episode, though, was actually pretty good, because it actually did raise quite a lot of things about fusion, at the very least, the title, Know Your Fusion, was rather apt. Mostly, it did clearly state, or not clearly, not implicitly, but not explicitly, but rather implicitly, it did state that all of the fusions are their own personalities. So, and that was rather clear. Like, not only they are not just a combination of their personalities, but it really does create their own personality and a new kind of sentience in there, which is rather odd, I must say. Like, where is that sentience stored in the meantime? But that's neither here nor there. It is a composite personality, so it kind of does make sense, and it clearly is distinctly a fusion is their own personality, so it's an odd thing, but I do like how much that is implied there. The fact that Smoky Quartz hasn't existed for long, the fact that they literally haven't been alive for very long, like less than 20 minutes, I suppose, and like, how do you measure their age? That's a rather interesting question to bring up as well. But more importantly, the fact that those teleporters and those rooms actually respond singularly to those personalities of the fusions. So there's very likely a Sugilite room as well. Definitely that Sardonyx room. That was actually pretty funny. Like, I did kind of like that. Not exactly laugh out loud, hilarious, but it's a pretty good joke there, I must say. And the fact that they can have their own rooms is a bit more clear inclination of the fact that they are their own distinct personality. So there's very likely a Sugilite room and whatever the rest of there. Hopefully another a Smoky Quartz room. Now what I'm hoping for is that we'll see more of the fusions, more like Pearl and Steven and Garnet, Steven and Peridot. I don't know, that's possible as well. And hopefully a fusion of all of them. And I wonder how much exactly the fact that Steven is human, at the very least partially, how much that comes into play and how important that one role that plays in the fusion. Like, it could be one of the reasons why Smokey is so underdeveloped, I hesitate to say. But you get the point. Like, she's like, is she so not distinct enough because she is young, or because of Steven? So many questions. But at the very least, they are questions, and they are something that are not implicitly stated. They are questions that are raised organically, and that is exactly what I like. When a show raises questions like this without just coming out and straight up saying it, that is what I like. Yeah. That's about all I have to say for now. Like, the episode did raise quite a lot of questions. I didn't exactly enjoy the episode per se that much, but rather the implications. And that's actually kind of a pretty big advantage of the show, that it isn't the most enjoyable one when you're watching it, but rather after watching it and thinking about these things and just theorizing and all that fun stuff. That's at the very least my personal experience about it, that it's more enjoyable to think about these possible implications. It's quite fun that way. I mean, it still is pretty funny, but it's fun enough, even if the humor isn't really my style, but still, it's fun enough. Okay, I think that's about all I have to say. Thank you all very much for watching. I hope to see you in the future. Have a great day. Stay awesome. Gunmo out. Thank you very much for watching.